Okay, and we are live. How's it going, Mets and overall baseball fans? Thank you guys all so much for chiming in for the latest podcast episode of Queen's Quarter. This is me, Wardy, that you guys know here on the WardyNYM YouTube channel. That is our beloved co-host Joe Serralo at the Joe Serralo on Twitter, and also host of the Serralo Sports Talk podcast. And we are missing our good friend Anthony Recker. He might be chiming in before we get out of here with the show. He's got a busy schedule today. We all do, but again, we're happy to have you guys. If you're watching on YouTube right now, thank you so much. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. If you're watching on the 7 Line socials on Facebook or Twitter, of course, make sure to smash that like button, share, follow, all that fun stuff. It's greatly appreciated. We have a lot to get into in today's episode. We're going to be fairly quick with it because we know we got a game just a couple hours from now as the Mets start their series against the Nationals. However, the Mets haven't been playing good, Joe. So we got a lot to talk about. Share some raw emotions and reactions, which I feel like is a reoccurring thing I've been doing on a nightly basis right now. But before we get into it, I have to let you guys all know, if you are in fact a 7 Line member or want to join the 7 Line for an outing, they will be having tickets drop for their latest outing in Baltimore, which will be dropping this Tuesday. Make sure to check them out on the 7 Line website. Again, this Tuesday, probably earlier in the day, if I had to guess, maybe around 10 a.m. or so. Could be wrong, but that's usually when they drop tickets. Make sure to check it out. If you guys partake in the 7 Line Army, which is so great, and which I myself and Joe too will be partaking plenty this year, as they are a great partner here on the channel and as part of the Queen's Corner podcast, then make sure to check them out. Again, 7 Line website to get your tickets this Tuesday, and they'll be in Baltimore to face those Orioles. So very excited for that, but more than anything, let's get on to the news, Joe. Let's talk about it. You know, you weren't here last episode.
Do we know when that Baltimore game is?
That Baltimore game, as a matter of fact, is August 5th.
Ah, too bad.
Yeah,
I got a wedding in Baltimore at the end of June. I was trying to double dip.
Yeah.
I'm that guy that's always looking for an angle. If there's any way I can double dip.
Yeah, August 5th is the outing in which 7 Line Army, full through and through, they'll be going there to Baltimore to face the Orioles, and I would love to be in that outing. I don't know if I'll be there yet. I will be eyeing. I'll probably be at the next 7 Line outing when they're in Philly, which I want to say is the weekend, the 24th. Those tickets are already sold out, so I will probably be there, so look out for your boy there in Philly. I don't reside far from Philly at all, so I'm excited to get to some 7 Line outings. But again, August 5th is when that game against the Orioles, of course, in Baltimore will be taking place. So once more, make sure to check it out. Tickets on the 7 Line website. They will be dropping next Tuesday. But Joe, let's talk about this Mets team. You know, we got a lot of topics. I figured let's go through the good, the bad, the ugly to start things off. But before we even kind of break down individual player performances, I want to know, what has your opinion been? Because you haven't been on the pod in a little bit now. So how have you been feeling seeing the Mets, just drop, what is it, 5 consecutive series now? And they've also...
what have they lost? They're 13 out of their last 17?
Yes,
they're 4
and 13 over their past 17 games. So get me your raw reaction first and foremost.
They're literally unwatchable. And I say literally because I have not been able to watch this team. This has been painful. The amount of baseball I've watched since that Detroit series is minimal. I can't. It hurts my eyes to watch this team play baseball. And I thought a couple of days ago, and maybe, now that the Cincinnati series is over, maybe it'll translate into Washington and into their upcoming games. I thought Buck getting tossed for the first time, I felt like it was so overdue, as Mets manager, would light a fire under someone's ass. And yeah, the offense came back a little bit. Obviously, Marky Mark hit into that double play. If he doesn't do that, maybe the Mets win that game. They lost 8-7 game 1. But this team just looks flat. You come out in Cincinnati, and yeah, they make that comeback. They put up 7 runs in game 1, and then they get shut out in a bullpen game to end the series. I mean, we've already been shut out this year, 7 times? Last year, we were shut out 8 times the whole season. It's painful baseball to watch. The pitching is atrocious. I had major concerns about this bullpen the second Diaz went down, and you had some unsung heroes. You had Yacobonis out in L.A. against the Dodgers when Scherzer got tossed step up. Lately, he's been getting batted around. You've had Brigham look great to start. Then he got shelled a couple times. This Leone kid, I don't know who the hell he is. I mean, it's bad baseball. It's AAA baseball. You got too many guys in the lineup that are hitting 200 and slugging 300. It's uninspired. It's flat. It's lazy. It's bad. It is literally unwatchable baseball. So, yeah, those are the raw reactions after being off the show for a week.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, right? There's nothing that I can disagree with on what you just said. And as someone that, again, as I said last episode, it's deja vu again, who has had the luxury of covering this Mets team on a night-to-night basis the past 3 weeks. Oh my God, it has been nothing short of brutal. There's no positivity, there's no enjoyment outside of what we just saw in that Red Series, where of course the Mets drop it again, lost 2 of 3. Aside from Francisco Alvarez, shutting you up fast, I feel like, and shutting up many fans earlier that were saying, oh God, this guy shouldn't be in the bigs. He's casually been hitting over 300 the past 10 plus games. He had 2 home runs in one game. He had a double and a single.
He have 4 career home runs against the Nationals, the Reds, and the San Francisco Giants.
There's no chance you're actually shitting on a 21-year-old catcher right now. Stop it. See, you're still
hit a home run against the winning team. Hit a home run with a guy on base. Aren't his last?
He's the only guy with a fire under his ass right now, Joe.
Aren't all 3 home runs of his this year solo shots?
Probably, but that's besides the point.
How many bases loaded double plays or strikeouts does he have? No, I'm not going to shit on Alvarez. Look, he's been playing great lately. The rest of this lineup is just so flat. Like Marte has always crushed breaking balls his entire career.
He's terrible. He's actually terrible.
Did you hear the analysis? Keith gave some great analysis yesterday. I was able to catch a few innings because it was a day game before going to work, and Keith had a great point that Marte his timing with breaking balls is off. And that's like a first for him. He's consistently mashed off-speed stuff his whole career. And it's because he's so late on fastballs that he's gearing up and predetermining that he's looking fastball. And now he can't hit the breaking ball because he's off balance. He's not hitting the ball hard. He's slugging like garbage. I mean, like at least like Francisco Lindor, who's got a low batting average, when he hits the ball, he makes it count. He's got great exit velo. He's slugging the crap out of it. He's an extra base hit machine. Marte is just like, he just looks weak. And this is a guy who like last year, first year as a Met, the first thing I thought when I saw the guy was he's built like Adonis. He's got 0% body fat. He's chiseled. Like everything he hit was a screamer. Whether it was an out or a hit, it was a screamer. And this year he just looks like, flat. I keep going back to that word. The whole team just looks flat.
Yeah, there's no life with this club right now. And it's funny, obviously doing your little nitpicking on Alvarez, but there's something to be said when a 21-year-old catcher, the youngest player in baseball, is far and away your most inspiring player right now. No one on this team on a day-to-day basis is showing a fire the way that Alvarez is. A kid who's just excited to be out there, going from a night game to a day game. Obviously, he's gained a lot of consistent reps, not only because he's performing now, but also because Tomas Nido has been put on the IL with dry eye syndrome. So hopefully whatever's going on with Nido's eyes, he'll be able to see the ball properly because he wasn't hitting a lick prior to that point, nor was he even catching that well, if I'm being completely honest. I have not been impressed with Nido in any facet of his game this year. Now the Mets, of course, signed to that minor league deal in Gary Sanchez. He had a home run yesterday in AAA. Won't be surprised if he's up with the Mets soon as their backup, which is a hilarious thing when you really think about it. Oh, Kraken now in the Queens, done with the Bronx, right? But
wild.
Aside from Alvarez, there is nothing good, right? So the good right now, you could say, is Alvarez. It's Justin Verlander going 7 masterful innings, in which he didn't even have his sharpest stuff early on in that game, but got in a groove.
And he still threw a 2-hitter.
Yeah, exactly. Threw a 2-hitter, and the Mets only won by 1 measly run. So even when they've gone the even when they've gone those strong starts, which have been few and far in between, or this 17-game stretch, even when that has happened, aside from Joey Fuego's masterclass in San Francisco, the Mets haven't provided any run support for their pitchers. Senga goes 6 shutty against the Rockies, and one of the Mets do, they win 1-0. Justin Verlander, again, gave the Mets 5 innings of a solid 3 earned run ball. Wasn't even great in his debut in Detroit, but they weren't able to muster any runs. Like, this team has been so anemic. Really
I will say, when it comes to Senga, I'm starting to get a little bit frustrated. This guy is my preseason NL Rookie of the Year pick, and I knew that there were going to be some control issues, and he's 7 starts in. I expected the control issues to be there in April, a little colder. He's pitching probably more than he's accustomed to. The Mets have given him ample rest. I mean, there was a point he was supposed to go in Detroit, and then between Colorado and what was his last start before that, Washington, he had like 9 days off. Should have gone on the IL to give us another bullpen arm because he took 9 days off. And it's like, I'm not seeing improvement in Senga. And that's really starting to bother me. The guy's erratic. I mean, you see flashes where yesterday he hit 99 at one point with his fastball. Like, holy crap. I mean, the guy usually sits 95, 96.
And
he hit 99.
And he struck out the side after having that rough first inning and then got in a groove.
Right.
So,
And I thought that I saw the sharpest curveballs I've seen out of him in that second and third inning all year. But it's like the first inning. What the hell happened, man? You know, we can't have a 35 pitch first inning. His pitch count runs up exorbitantly high. I mean, he's had starts where he's mowing guys down, striking guys out, but he's going 5 innings. I mean, he didn't even get the win in Oakland. We won 17-6, and he didn't get the win because he went 4 2/3. I really need Senga to just find some damn control because his stuff, pure stuff, unmatched, as good as anyone.
Yeah, his stuff is fantastic, and that's the same issue you always have when you have guys that, again, nasty stuff, but they struggle with that control. I mean, you could even see it to a different degree with Hunter Green there in game 2, right? You know, Hunter Green has some of the nasty stuff in baseball, but you can see the lack of confidence, especially if he gets behind batters early. Like, it's one of those things, especially for a younger pitcher like him, where it's understandable. Senga has a decade of experience overseas. We're aware of that, but at the MLB level, there's still all an adjustment. So I'm not overly frustrated with Senga. However, I will say, if you actually looked at that start in particular, how that game started, where, you know, he gave up those 4 runs, he had 2 outs, a runner on second, Jonathan, and you just need to get that final out, and then you see a bloop of an RBI single there by Fraley, and then you see Stevenson somehow poke one up. But, like, they looked like the Mets last year, and how they were just getting those, Spencer Strider would say, those quote-unquote lucky hits, right? You know, just great BABIP that was unfortunate in the favor of Senga. It was not in his favor, so that was frustrating for him. But what we have seen with Senga, at least, is that after those rough first innings where he is giving up, say, a runner, so kind of Carlos Carrasco-esque in that sense, where not a sharp start to the game, but then he's getting in a groove. And Senga's stuff is certainly there. He's one of the least of my concerns, I will say, but it's more amplified, you could argue, because there's no consistency with this rotation right now. Max Scherzer, as a guy, for all we know, he could be, you know, dealing with ailments with his back and with his right scapula all year long, you know, because he's not going to get fully healthy unless he gets extended time on the IL probably. So there's a lot of issues with this team, to say the least, right? And it just goes in hand with, you know, when the Mets have the pitching, they don't have the offense, or very little, like just enough. And when they have the offense, they haven't had the pitching. Like, there's been nothing in unison right now. And Joe, I want to ask your opinion on this before I break down a bunch of statistics that are really going to maybe be eye-opening to some and normal to others that have been following this team every day. But how the Mets have been performing right now, and you're seeing with, especially, for example, Senga, you know, there's an argument to be had that when you're down 4 runs early in a game like the Mets, and you've been on the type of downward spiral that you've been, that you already feel like the life was sucked out of you before you even had a true chance in the ball game. Similar to game 1, where David Pearson fills in last second for Max Scherzer, who Max was supposed to start, but they didn't because he woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I get neck spasms too. I guess I can relate, but he's also 38, so it's probably even much worse than me.
Gordy, you're getting neck spasms, man? You're like 18. What the hell?
I'm 18 feeling like Max Scherzer's 38 is what I'm feeling like. But seriously, so I want to ask you, how much do you think is justified where you see the bats kind of lifeless after, you know, a 5-run spot was put on them, really before they even had a chance in the ball? Like, how much do you think that factors into their mindset, especially with the way that they've been right now?
Yeah, it's 100%. It's predictable with this team because of how flat they are. I mean, they're dead. And look, you know, I see some people in the comments are saying, you know, like, oh, Joe's being such a hater and Joe's so negative. I'm never really like this with this team.
Neither
right
am I.
Now, they're flat and they're uninspired. Am I saying that the season's over? Absolutely not. There's a lot of baseball to be played. Remember, the Braves had a losing record 55 games in last year at the end of May. So I'm not saying the season's over, but right now they're flat. Right now, when the Mets fall behind 4-0 in the first inning, it's game over. The Mets last year, when they fell behind 3-0, 4-0, game was not over. Remember Jose Brito's debut? Remember that debut in Philly? They fell behind big, and they kept falling behind. And they ended up winning that game, 13-11? I mean, there's the Philly game from early in the year when
any Philly game, every Philly game,
right? Any game at Citizens Bank Park, it's never over until that 27th out is recorded. But yeah, there was that game earlier in the year that they were down 7-0 or 7-1. They won 8-7. The St. Louis game, they were down 2-0 down to their final strike. Right? Like, last year's team had fight. Last year's team never quit. This team is flat. Can they get to that point? Yeah, they got a lot of the same pieces. And in some respects, they're better. You know, like Verlander, obviously is a big upgrade from anything we had last year outside of Max, but we still have Max. So can Max right the ship? For sure. Senga, talent-wise, better than our pitching depth, better than Taiwan Walker, talent-wise. Now, can he get there? Can he maximize that talent? So, the team can get there. They're just not there right now. They can get to the point where a 4-0 deficit is, first off, a rarity, and secondly, doesn't mean that they're out of it. Right now, it's unfortunately all too much of a commonality, and it does mean that they're out of it.
Yeah, no, you're right, especially with the downward spiral that this Mets team has had. Because, Joe, listen to this. I know that you don't want it to take too much carryover from the year before, but there's something to be said about this Mets team exemplifying a lot of the same issues that they had in the second half of last year. Joe, if we add statistics, shout out to Rich, I'm blanking on his last name on Twitter. My apologies to you, man. But also want to give a quick shout out right before we started the show. I meant to say this earlier. I went to my local bagel shop right down the block. Shout out to 3 Men and Bagel, if you guys you know in my area, and ran into 2 awesome Mets fans that are a follower of the Queen's Corner podcast, are a follower of my Rangers podcast too. Shout out to you, Stephen Noah. Appreciate the support. But what I did want to say though is that, Joe, over the past 70 games, including playoffs, the Mets are 35-35. We're talking basically half a season of mediocre baseball is really what we've been seeing. So as great of a high as that first half was last year, there's something to be said about where this team has been for a 70-game span now, where the team's been virtually the same aside from the rotation, upgrades, and also shambles because they haven't been consistent and healthy right now. And 2, the kids being brought up in Alvarez and Beatty being productive now. Like, what's your thoughts on that? 70 games of 35-35 baseball against a lot of dog shit teams. Let's keep it a buck.
Yeah. Remember, last September, we had like the easiest schedule in baseball. It was the easiest month of our schedule last year, and I think it was the worst month. Shit all went downhill when DeGrom came off the IL last year. That's what it tells me. Jake came back, and all of a sudden things went downhill. We were doing great before
Jake's
Jake
the
came
issue,
back.
clearly.
Yeah, obviously. Just still blame it on Jake. Rest in peace to his right arm. But yeah, I mean, it's been too mediocre for too long. Last September, bad opponents on the schedule. You had the A's, you had the Cubs, who swept us, of course. That was a detrimental series. And then now, like this stretch right now that we're 4-13 on, Detroit, Cincinnati, Colorado, the Nationals, like it should be 13-4, and that's not an exaggeration. Like minimum 11-6. I don't know what's going on. I love Buck Showalter, so it's easy to point to leadership right now. He tried the other day in Cincinnati to light a fire. He tried to stick up for his guys.
And that's something where you have a rightful argument because Myers just swat his hand.
Yeah,
and
no,
that was
the call was
BS
atrocious.
Play. Yeah.
Look, umpiring's been atrocious.
Sounds like a day that ends in Y.
What was that?
Sounds like a day that ends in Y. Literally every day.
Right. Like, I'm not going to sit here and point fingers at the umps, though, because at the end of the day, the Mets are playing bad baseball.
Yeah.
And, like, when you're performing poorly in anything, in any aspect of life, like, luck isn't going to go your way. You have to make your own breaks, right? So when the Mets are playing like crap, umpires aren't just going to start giving them calls. Last year when the Mets were playing really well, all of a sudden you notice we were kind of getting calls, and the Mets are not accustomed to ever getting calls. So you have to make your own luck, and right now the Mets aren't doing themselves any favors. So, yeah, things are just going to go against them in all avenues of the game. But, yeah, right now it's ugly. I want to see consistent fire out of Buck. I want to see him try new things. We got Lindor, in the 2-hole now. Marte got dropped down in the lineup. Those are good
which
baby
is justified.
steps.
I don't dislike how the Mets lineup is constructed right now.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, they're just not doing the thing that they're supposed to be doing. And that's the biggest issue. And, as we get into now talking about, like, are the Mets bad? And obviously we mean that in the sense of, like, we know that this Mets team isn't the worst. But right now, aside from the Oakland A's, they're on, like, the worst stretch of baseball over these past 3 weeks. And that, again, needs to be highlighted, needs to be noted. Like, they are playing that bad of baseball
Shout
right
out to
now.
the Rockies and Royals for playing better than us.
Yeah, seriously. And what's even more concerning about this is the Mets have taken no advantage of what is a lighter schedule at an early point of the season after they had such a strong West Coast trip, all things considered. Then you get into the month of June. That's arguably their worst month of the season, Joe. This summer is going to be no easy task for this team whatsoever. And I don't know if the Mets are just going to be one of these teams, Joe, where they just naturally perform better against better clubs. Like they have a fire under their ass that they just simply don't get against lesser opponents. Maybe that's what's going to happen. Like we're not too sure, but what we are sure of is that when this Mets team plays any opponent that they're supposed to beat, they sit flat on their ass and just say, hey, you know what? I feel like I'm not going to wake up and do it today. And when we look at the numbers over the past 17 games, listen to this. I'm going to go through like the entire lineup. We know the pitching has been a mess, and that's a massive factor. That getting rectified and starters going deeper, and hopefully relievers eating less innings should help this team, albeit I still believe the Mets need to add some pitching on that front that we'll get into our next segment. But over this stretch, Brandon Nimmo, he's batting .242 with 4 RBIs and 8 runs scored. Solid. Again, he's been swing missing a little bit, but Nimmo has not been a sole factor as to why the Mets have been having struggles, right? Marte, he's batting .188 over these past 17 games with just 3 runs scored. A guy that even when he's not even driving in runs much, he's getting on base at a good clip and is normally scoring those runs for you. So Marte is completely in no man's land in regards to production right now. Like he's doing nothing positive, which is unfortunate. He's going to get there, but breaking balls too. 2 years ago, he was batting .300. This year, he's batting like 100 something. Like
it's bad.
It's really bad. And he struggled with breaking balls last year too. He's only batting like .213, .220. So there's continued regression on that front, which I don't know if that just goes in hand with age or whatever, but it's not good. Then you get on to Jeff McNeil, who has not been the McHits that we have been looking for. He has not been as much of that plate setter, if you will, that we would need. He hasn't been terrible, but still batting .246 over this stretch as well. And you're not getting a lot of run
his numbers down that much.
Yeah. Over this again, naturally, if you're 4-13 over the past 17, you'd have to think a good portion of the team isn't playing.
Guys
well,
ain't doing shit.
Yeah. Seriously, Lindor is batting .215, but he has 4 home runs and 10 RBIs. And it's weird. Lindor's been on this really weird direction, but I don't care as much about the Lindor having a low average as long as he's driving in runs, because the Mets, on paper, have plenty of guys that should be getting on base at good clips to drive them in, right?
I do want Lindor's average to come up, though. I mean, like,
no,
I'm not
it will.
fully bought in because it's 2023, and we live in a day and age where Kyle Schwarber last year was an all-star who hit 208 at the all-star break. Like, I don't like that. I don't believe in that. I don't think a 200 hitter, Byron Buxton, Kyle Schwarber, can these guys hit a ball 500 feet every 4th game? They can, but I don't think that makes you an all-star when you're hitting 200. So I don't want Lindor to fall into that category. That's kind of what he's falling into right now, like really good slugging. Still got a good OPS. The fact that his OPS is as respectable as it is, given how low his average is, it shows you he's kind of, I don't know. Some people are fine with it. I don't like him going down that path. Lindor is a 280 hitter.
Yes. No, I want his average to be up. I'm just saying, when you look at the complete snide with this team, he's not like the biggest concern for me, if you will. Albeit, yes, he's getting paid the big bucks, but at least when he is making contact, he's hitting doubles and he's hitting home runs. That's important for a Mets team that has been notorious in recent years to lack that, right? So I'm happy that he's still producing, even if he's not the normal Lindor that we saw just last year to start the year at least. So you have Lindor with the low average, but high slug. Alonso, this is what's going to be eye-opening to everybody. As great as Pete has been and is still carrying this Mets team, we say it all the time, and Rex states this all the time. When Alonso and or Lindor are not going, this team has a huge problem. Why, you ask? Alonso has 3 home runs, 8 RBIs over this 17-game stretch, but he's batting .153. He has the lowest batting average out of all Mets, including Tomas Nido, during this stretch. That is how inconsistent Alonso has been. So, again, you just talked about Lindor as that 280 hitter. Alonso is usually in that 250, 260 range. So what's your thoughts about Pete really, really struggling outside of barreling a baseball every now and then? I mean, that in itself is a huge problem because this Mets team is way too reliant on Alonso. And when he's not cooking, this team isn't cooking.
Yeah, we're seeing what Pete does when he's going through a rough patch, when he's going through a really bad slump. He's trying to do too much. And part of that is Pete's fault. Part of that is the team's fault because the team isn't doing anything and the lineup's not doing anything. And Pete feels that pressure of, look, these guys aren't oblivious to everything. They're all on social media, although I think Pete actually might have deleted some of his social media maybe last year.
Yeah, he did.
But these guys, they still see things. They still hear things. Pete probably knows the Mets record when he hits a home run is significantly better than when he doesn't.
And what his production is, too, when wins versus losses. Polar opposite.
Right. So Pete, I'm sure he's aware of the fact that a lot of this team's success unfortunately goes through him, and that can mess with your psyche and make you try to do too much. So yeah, I think Pete would be in a much better place right now if other guys were stepping up and he didn't feel all that pressure. But there's no doubt in my mind that pressure's getting to him and he's reverting to his old ways. Like even that homer he hit off Hunter Green, great home run, got out in front of a slider, cranked it to left. It's an off-speed pitch, nothing wrong with pulling it. But like I feel like every time he makes contact, he's pulling the ball lately. Like Pete's at his best. We've spoken about this. Like Piazza, like David Wright, they're at their best when they can go the other way and go the other way with power. And it's clear as day that Pete's kind of losing that right now because he's trying to do too much. And that's why he's not doing anything.
Yeah, and he puts a lot of pressure on his shoulders. He presses fast. And when you look at the protection or lack thereof that we've seen, and shout out you guys in the chat for bringing up because you're 100% right. Like, when he's not getting the support of the surrounding cast around him, it's not making life easier for him. And, you look at the stretch and you say, oh, my God, Alonso, a bullpen game versus the Reds, he's going to torch them, right? Or he's facing Michael Lorenzen, he's facing Gomber, he's facing Senzatella. Like, these are all easy matchups for him, and yet they've been the farthest thing from the truth. And that is Alonso, I think, is a great example of what this entire Mets team is right now. On like when they're not going, they're really not going. And he's still hitting the ball out of the park. He's still driving in runs at a solid rate. But, the swing and miss and the average contact is certainly not there. And that, too, needs to change for a Mets team that, whether we agree or not, are built around Alonso. And that's just how it's going to be for the foreseeable future until they get more consistency in the depth of this lineup. But aside from him, Brett Beatty batting 263. He's on like a 0 for 12 or 0 for 13 slide right now, but he's going to snap out of it. He's still taking some solid at-bats. So he's still batting 263, 5 RBIs, 6 runs scored. Vogelbach, that a lot of people are ragging on because, of course, he doesn't bring you anything besides obviously his DH production. He's batting 292. He's the best contact hitter on the Mets right now during this stretch, and leads the Mets in OPS. He's right towards the top in WRC plus. Like, he's looked really good with 7 runs scored. So Vogelbach, I know people want more power at the DH position, and I don't disagree with you, but to suggest that he hasn't been productive is a silly thing, because he has been, even if it's not necessarily the production that you're hoping or looking for. He's still getting on base at a very good clip. What do you guys say about Vogelbach?
Yeah, I've just seen some bad at-bats. I mean,
he takes too many pitches. It's as simple as that.
Dude, I've just seen him take himself into a 2-strike hole like so easily. And it's like, come on, Vogie, like you're better than that. Like, I like Vogelbach, and I know I'm the first guy that always is like, I hated that trade, and I do hate that trade. Like, why couldn't we have given him Adonis Medina last year, who was dealing for a little bit out of the bullpen?
Who's now playing
over in, like, where is he, Korea or Japan now? Like,
somewhere.
Like, why couldn't we have given him Medina, right? It's like the other guys. Like, you should have shot A-Rod. Like, yeah, like, you should have traded Medina. And Holderman, of course, had an immaculate inning last week or 2 weeks ago.
We missed
my guy. It's my guy, dude. I'm like Colin Holderman fan club president over here. So yeah, I hate the trade. Love Vogie. But yeah, I kind of want to see more power out of our 280-pound DH.
And he's never been like, the best you'll get out of him is between 15 and tops 20 home runs a year.
Give me 20.
Yeah, but
I do some really vile things for 20 home runs out of Vogelbach right now. Like, full transparency, I don't have any shame. I would do some things to get Vogelbach to get 20 home runs. Like, you would
certainly do something to leave a good taste in your mouth. Let's put it that way.
It would leave a great taste in everyone's mouth. But like, when you talk about, he's getting on base, that's great if you're my guy Tim LeCastro, because LeCastro gets on base and a bunt single can become a triple if you're Tim LeCastro. Vogelbach getting on base doesn't do a whole lot. He's kind of a station-to-station guy.
You're right, so, and that's a fair argument, and that's why, like, I thoroughly enjoy Vogelbach, but I can see why he's not necessarily the best fit for this team either when everyone's rolling, because naturally in that DH spot you want power, and he just doesn't give it to you. Nor does he give you any type of athleticism where if you had to put him somewhere, you could. You really can't. I mean, he could play first, but
has he ever as a Met? Has he once ever as a Met?
I think he's actually played at least one game at first.
I don't know. I'd have to look that up because I know Darren Ruff got a couple starts last year at first base. I don't know if Vogie did. Look, I really like the guy. And yeah, he puts together some good at-bats, but again, he takes too many pitches. Like, I saw a game the other day. I don't even know if it was Cincinnati or if it must have been Cincinnati. He got he had a 2-strike count. Slider had plenty of plate. Like, it was almost down the middle. And he just looked at it and then just walked away. He was like, yeah, I missed it. I mean, and look, it happens to everyone every now and then. He's got a great eye for the most part. But, I mean, we're sitting around nitpicking Vogelback.
I know.
And it's like, it just shows you, and credit to someone in the comments, like it shows you where the team's at. But, look, I mean, I don't know if let's segue into the changes to be made.
Yeah. Wait. Before we get there, I just wanted to make note. 2 more things. One, a combination of Escobar, Pham, Canna. They've been non-existent over the stretch for the most part, and that's an issue.
Escobar's still on the team.
Yeah, seriously, right? It's so bad that the Mets decided to opt for Gourmet in Game 1, pinch hitting with bases loaded over, say, Canna or Escobar. Escobar, since April 21st, or since this stretch has started, has only played in 4 games. Why not consider him some DH time? Because he still has the pop, and I really wouldn't hate that idea if you're going to keep these guys on the roster right now. That's honestly a little frustrating to me. If you want more pop, Escobar gives you that. Even if he's going to strike out at a higher rate, you at least have that potential of hitting it out of the park or hitting those doubles that you're not seeing as much with Vogelback. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, especially from the right side. Like,
yes, exactly. Yeah,
I mean,
my point.
Who did you take deep the other day? AJ Minter with the Braves in that 9-8 game for the Strider pitch? Like, I mean, I was like, oh, shit, was that a pinch hit home run?
Yep. And Gourmet's been hitting, 261 over the past 12 games. But, aside from one good game in this Red Series, he hasn't been doing a whole lot. He is hitting better a little bit lately, but another guy that will always lead defensively first. And Nito, we know the story there. So let's get into changes to be made. And, of course, Francisco Alvarez has been arguably the best Mets hitter throughout the stretch.
Hey, real quick, while we talk about changes to be made, should Wrecker pop in? He just texted the group. I don't know if you can see your texts right now. He said he can join from his phone. Do you have the capability?
He said my internet at the house is down. Yeah, just tell him to join the link that I sent him via email, and we can make that happen.
Yeah, he said he's got 5 minutes before we wrap it up. Gonna get Wrecker on the go, like that show I joined from the car with the AirPods.
Yeah,
it's gonna be Wrecker.
Yeah, we'll bring in Rec.
Yeah, Bobby G, your guy's coming in. We're going to the bullpen.
And for those wondering, Alvarez is hitting 286 with 3 home runs, 5 RBIs, and 6 runs scored in 15 games since this Mets stretch started.
What's the average?
286.
Under 300.
This is going to be a bit at this point. Are we just rolling with this? Is this what's going to be?
Yeah.
This is going to be your bit? Okay. Yeah. When future Hall of Famer Francisco Alvarez continues to produce the way that he is, you're going to always be the guy to be like,
You know what Hall of Fame hitters do? They hit with guys on base.
Son of a bitch.
Solo homers.
I just can't get over the fact that he's the youngest player in baseball.
That's pretty wild.
That is wild.
Is he younger than you?
Yes. He's younger than me.
I can't get over the fact that he's younger than you.
Yeah, dude, he's younger than me. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, Dirty Dancer. Better D than I expected from Alvarez. All right, it's another thing he's got on you, Tyler.
Whoa, hey, how you doing? To be fair, his D is much better than me. He's doing a great frame job over there. He's doing a lot of good things, Wait, here's Rec. Let me see if I can set this up.
My D's gotten me involved in a couple frame jobs before.
Hold on. Let me see if I can set
this
this
call
up.
to the bullpen is brought to you by the 7 line. Actually is now.
If I can
I just realized, is this my first show since the partnership, or were we partners?
Yeah, first show since the partnership. That is correct.
We weren't partners for the watch party?
I don't think we were. Oh, wait, we were. You're right.
Oh, the graphics just changed.
I know. Give me. I have to edit. Give me a minute. I didn't know if Rick was
coming in. Can they hear us? Can they hear us?
Yes, they can hear us.
Okay, good. Well, then this would be a great time to let you guys know that 15% or more, or $15. Oh, wow. I wasn't going to finish the advertisement because they're not an actual partner, but I just figured keep it going while the pictures disappeared.
Hold on.
There he is.
Wait.
The logo's on his face.
Hey, guys. Hey, I know I'm on my phone, but come on. Hi.
Hold on.
What the hell is this?
This is what happens when you have to
Who's running this show?
There we go.
Do we have any junior wreckers in the car that we got to watch what you're saying?
No. You're good. Okay. Speak freely, boys. I'm in the car. But the internet at my house is not working, so I'm running errands and doing work on the road today.
Love it. Did
We're
you get
good.
a haircut?
Let's do
look
it.
at you right now. You're like you're all in a good mood. You're like all preppy. What's going on here?
Prep? I'm wearing Lululemon, and I got I don't know, man. I don't look like a scrub like I do when I'm like sitting around my house, I guess. I don't know.
I'm used to like, I just got in from squatting 525 pounds, guys, like.
Yeah, not today. I didn't get to work out today. That was when did I do my squats last? That was 2 nights ago.
Okay.
Got it in though. I did some running yesterday. That felt good. Today's just been running errands, man. It's Mother's Day soon, guys. I had to get my wife stuff. I got to get my mom stuff. It's a tough time to be a dad and a son.
Yeah, and then you got to get stuff from the kids, which makes it even harder.
Yeah, it's amazing how Mother's Day works. Like, it's like, wait, I have a mom, but I have to buy for my wife. One day, like, I don't have any daughters, but like I'm gonna have daughter-in-laws. I'm assuming at some point. I'm gonna have to get stuff for them probably. It's like, wait a minute, shouldn't it just be like you get stuff for your mom and that's it? Like,
you got
hey,
a mother-in-law,
kids, get off your butts, go buy mom something. I shouldn't have to do it.
Right. I mean, you got what, like an 8-year-old now? Like he's old enough to go walk to the corner store and get a card.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I don't know if I trust enough to give him like a credit card or something. So I'd have to go straight cash. But we
like $3.
$3. Have you seen the back of these cards lately? They're not $3 anymore, Joe.
Oh my God.
No, they're like
you got to find the 50% off card store. All right.
Oh, hey, well that'll be our next partner reach out.
Yes.
Definitely will be.
Joe, you have an Echo. Maybe. Oh wait, I have it too. Why do I have it?
Maybe it's me.
It's definitely you. So
it's when Rec joins.
Well, okay. It's going through my car for some reason, even though I have it on my AirPods. So I don't know. It's just.
Are you able to disconnect it from your car by chance or no?
Here, let's do
this. The guy's got work calls with the White House.
Turn the car off.
You're gonna make him.
The door. Hold on a sec.
I think it went away.
Yeah, we're good. Perfect.
Hold on.
Oh wait,
now
he
can't hear us.
Now.
There you go. Yeah, I got you. I heard you the whole time.
Okay, perfect.
Amazing.
All right, so Rec,
is that better?
Yeah, it's better. So, Rec, we're at the point in the show where we're talking about changes to be made for this team. We kind of highlight a little bit of it our last episode, especially on like the pitching front, that if they're going to do anything, say rash, it should be in that category. But to just further amplify why maybe you guys can advocate for one or both of Ron and Mauricio, Mark Vientos, not that you should be looking for these guys to be saving graces right now, but you have no power in the DH position once again right now through a month plus of baseball, and we're seeing a lot of Jeff McNeil in left field with Yorme at second base. So when we look at the numbers between the two, and Rec, we'll start with you, what your thoughts are. Mauricio right now is batting .340, 6 home runs, 22 RBIs, and a .960 or so OPS. Mark Vientos
leading the league in doubles, like just raking every night.
And Mark Vientos is leading all the International League right now in OPS. He has a .339 average, 11 home runs, 32 RBIs, and a 1,100 plus or so OPS. So starting with you, do you think now is arguably the time to bring up at least one of them, considering the fact of what the kids have already brought onto the team, and they seem like the only guys that give a flying you-know-what right now?
No, I don't want to go down that road. That's not the case. I promise you. I know it can seem that way, but guys who are veterans just tend to. No, I just want to explain this to the fans too, because sometimes they feel like guys don't care because they don't show as much emotion.
True.
But you learn through the process of going through it multiple times that showing that emotion, a Jeff McNeil slamming the helmet when you get out kind of a thing, it really doesn't help you. Like there are case studies that there are psychologists that come in and talk to the teams. I'm sure they have a team psych. We had a team, sports doctor when we were, sports psychiatry doctor when I was with the Mets, when I was with the Indians, now Guardians. Like it's just become a bigger part of the game. They understand now that, getting all pissed off doesn't necessarily do anything. So you don't see the emotion. Trust me, it's there. Like these guys don't want to be losing games. That said, back to your original question, should one of these young guys come up right now? Yes, but whose spot, like at whose spot, like, does it cost? Because I am very big on, roster building, maintaining a solid roster. It's hard to let go of veterans that have the ability to perform at a certain level until you know that it's just gone. It's past their time. Would I be sad if Escobar wasn't on the team tomorrow? Not necessarily. Would I be sad if Canna wasn't on the team tomorrow? Maybe, but not necessarily. I don't think either of them has lived up to the money that they got for the past 2 years. That said, from a roster standpoint, it doesn't make sense to get rid of either. Luis Guillorme, like,
he still has a minor league option left, so that's
That's
what
what
I'm
I-
going to come into play.
yeah.
he
for
does. But
Mauricio.
who's your backup shortstop? I guess Mauricio. Is.
Yeah,
Um,
literally.
And what about like Tommy Pham? Like McNeil is playing so much outfield lately, and I know Pham is a right-hand bat, but if you bring up Vientos, he's your right-hand DH. Is Tommy Pham needed?
Look, I'm fine with that too. Again, though, it's does not even does management want to swallow that money? It's really does Steve Cohen want to swallow that money? Because they're going to call Steve and say, "Hey, Steve, can we do this? Can we cut this guy?" No, okay, or yes, sure, go ahead, boom. Like that call has to get made, and so it really comes down to whether or not like that is something that they're willing to do, and something that Steve's willing to do, and that the management feels is in best interest for this team long term. And by long term, I mean the full, for this full season. I think right now it's still maybe premature to make those cuts. That said, I would love to see it happen somehow. Whether I don't want anyone to get injured, but like a phantom DL stint wouldn't be the worst thing. Like, Mark comes in tomorrow and says, "Oh man, my back's a little sore. Oh, hey, IL 15 days. We're going to call some up and see what happens." Like,
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that I would think that this team might be looking at doing or might want to do right now. Whether or not that happens, I have no idea. I would love to see both of them get their opportunity. I've loved seeing Beatty and Alvarez kind of come into their own already, in the short stints that they've had. And I think that more youthful energy, injection of that is going to be better than anything else. The problem is where I really feel this team needs help is on the pitching side too.
Yeah.
So there's nothing there. And that's,
I'm warming
that's-
up at
that's
this point, man.
Get loose. I told you guys, I'm squatting. Like, I'm going to go to the K, start hitting. I might take Murph's route and just see if I can make a comeback here. I mean,
The Long Island.
I'm not going to take Alvarez's spot, but there's some issues like going around the league at a lot of positions, a lot of teams. So you might as well get it loose, see what happens,
Hey, look, if we gave Gary Sanchez a shot, I mean, why can't Anthony Recker get another shot, Sanchez
I don't really
breaking.
want to go to Syracuse and play there,
Right.
but I mean, I'll do it for a couple weeks if I get a shot. You know what I mean? That's all I'm looking for.
Go play for the Ducks, man. Long Island, come on. Nice little ballpark. You pull one down the line. It's not that far. Come on, man. Give it a shot.
I still got it on some level. I never really had it, I guess, but
You had it. Trust me.
You had it when you were playing in Vegas in the PCL. I'm sure you hit a couple 500-foot homers out in Vegas.
Oh, that was fun. That was good stuff.
Hitter's paradise.
Reno was even better playing there. Oof.
Jeez. Yeah, the ball
Yeah,
just
we can't
flies.
solve all the Mets problems in one podcast, but I mean,
I would hope
It's-
so. I hate yelling
Yeah.
on an everyday basis.
we talked about it. We talked a lot about it last show, right? Like a lot of it is just kind of getting out of that rut, like in that clubhouse, trying to figure out what's going to work and then getting consistent with it. And right now, like it's one or the other. Either the pitching's not there one day, starting rotate, or the starter isn't there. Senga. I mean, that was just brutal. I mean, it wasn't all his fault. He did a great job of recovering and giving the team an opportunity. Then the offense didn't show up.
Yep.
The bullpen was actually great, but then there are days where the bullpen falters. Obviously, days where the offense doesn't show up. But we were very fortunate that JV gave the performance that he did and got even one win out of that series. So yeah, it's tough sledding right now. The offense really needs to pick it up. But again, the rotation doesn't look great. We need health. There's a lot of things going on right now. It's a long season, so it's really just, can you try to stay afloat? I think the problem right now that I have, and I'm sure that you guys have, a lot of fans have, is that these are teams that they should be able to play 500 ball against,
Thank
and
you.
they're not.
Yes.
They're not even coming close.
No.
And that's the issue. That's the issue. Not scoring runs, giving up big, crooked numbers. That's a problem. That some of that stuff, you should be able to solve that with, just the veteran leadership that they have and having guys in there that know what they're doing.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And I said this to Joe earlier in the show, but it drives you nuts how the Mets have taken, once again, surprise, surprise, no advantage of a favorable schedule throughout this stretch. And now June is going to either kick them completely in the ass, or they're going to get a fire under their butt playing against a lot of very good teams. Like, we don't know. But, as I also mentioned to Joe, the Mets over their past 70 games, including the wild card, are 35-35. A very similar team down the stretch of last year. So it's been a very mid team for almost half a season now. And that in itself needs a change if this team has any chance of wanting to get anywhere this year. But before we get closer to wrapping things up, Joe, I want to ask you, do you have any remarks on Mauricio Vientos? Do you favor one over the other? Let me know.
I mean, I think Vientos is probably more major league ready. Mauricio, to me, is the most exciting prospect out there right now. I want to see them both up. They both offer different things. Guillorme should not be starting every day at second base. I think Mauricio should. And, I'd rather have Vientos occupying a spot on this roster right now than, Pham or even Vogie. I'm just ready for both of them. It's like, I'm not expecting them. I want to be very clear. Not expecting these guys, Beatty and Alvarez included, to be like the next savior and come in and, fix this team. But why not? You've got nothing to lose. So, I'm ready for both of them. Even if Mauricio, they're like, oh, he needs better command of the strike zone. Yeah, so does Francisco Lindor right now. So just call up.
Well, that's something that Frankie always struggled with, really. So, that's not even like a new thing. He's never been a high OBP guy. He was just a 270 to 290 hitter, so it worked. And he obviously had 40-40 in his back pocket back in the day.
Jose Reyes, awful command of the strike zone. I've seen him swing at pitches that hit him. Won a batting title.
Mauricio doesn't have to be their leadoff hitter, right? Like that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about this guy getting inserted towards the bottom middle of this, this order, 6-7-ish. I mean, that's fine. I would like to see him in like that 6-7 spot so he could protect guys like, Pete, McNeil, if he shows the pop that he has.
Right.
But it's a matter of having some of that youthful injection of talent and just energy. Guys like him and Vientos would bring that. And Vientos, the way he's raking, man, doubles, and he's just an extra base hit machine right now, hitting balls all over the park. Like, you just at some point, like, he's knocking that door down. It's like you're gonna have to make space for him. And I don't think we're too far away from it. I really don't. I'm just not sure right now is quite the time.
Yeah. No,
I would love to see it though. Would love to see it.
I would too, and that's why I put Mauricio on the thumbnail, just because, like, if we're basing things on positional flexibility and who could fit right now, that is what made me think, all right, Mauricio at second, maybe send Guillorme down just for a little bit, and then put Jeff in left, which he's been doing a lot. So it's a thought. We'll see if it comes to fruition at all. But I'll tell you one thing: if the Mets continue this downward spiral, something needs to give. They need to make changes, and I feel like they really need to make it fast before they get ahead of themselves. But I realize the four Mets messed up here. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna leave it as this, but we're gonna get on to Nats preview real quick. Tyler McGill's pitching tonight, I believe, against that being Mackenzie Gore, who of course carved up the Mets last time they faced each other. Then you have Joey Fuego tomorrow versus Trevor Williams, and then games 3 and 4, you got Irvin for the Nats, and 4 will be Corbin. We don't know the starting pitchers for the Mets in the final 2 games because it's indicative of Max Scherzer. Is he going to pitch? When is he going to pitch? So with that uncertainty, Joe, starting with you, what is your prediction for the Mets in this 4-game set in DC?
I'd love to say go win 3 out of 4. I'm going to predict a split. I think, the Mets own Corbin, so I think that they're going to win the Monday game. But right now with McGill, Lucchesi, and God knows who pitching today, tomorrow, and Sunday, I think we find ourselves in a 1-2 hole going into Monday, and I think Verlander gets us a split.
Ruck?
Yeah, I think I'm not even going to say I expect a split. I'm going to say I hope for a split, which is kind of sad. And it's not – I'm not trying to, like, throw dirt on them. They just haven't been playing well. And honestly, the Nationals haven't been playing bad. So, like, I think they're going to miss Josiah Gray. I think. Did he just pitch yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not on there, yeah.
So they – sorry, you already said it. So that's like they're actually very fortunate because he's been pitching really well. But they are getting Gore tonight. I'm just hoping for a split. Like, I think they should get a split. I think they, should win 3 out of 4. But I'm hoping for a split at this point. It's just the way things are going for both teams right now.
I mean, come on. We got swept by Detroit, lost 2 out of 3 to the Rockies at home, 2 out of 3 in Cincinnati, a place where the Mets have been great in Cincinnati for like the past decade plus. I mean, the bats couldn't even ignite in Cincinnati of all places. Yep. Rec, where would you rank that? I mean, you don't have to be exact, but in terms of easiest place to hit, Cincinnati, is it top 3, top 2, top 5?
It would be top 5 for sure.
Yeah.
I really like Arizona. Colorado's great, obviously.
Right.
Trying to think if anything else would overtake it. It'd be right. It might be 3. I mean, it might be 3. Philly's up there.
I always think Philly, Cincinnati for that. Usually I go 2, 3. I didn't think of Arizona, but I guess the dry.
Oh, Arizona's awesome. Yeah, ball flies, and it's a big field. It's just, and you see the ball so well there. Like the backdrop's awesome. So it's just one of those like perfect storms. That might even be number 1, to be honest with you. If I was going to pick a stadium to hit in, that might be number 1.
Over Coors.
Yeah. I mean, look, I had a lot of success at Coors too. I like hitting there too. But hitting in Arizona is just different, man. Like the ball looks like a beach ball. I don't think I ever had a game there where I felt terrible. I mean, even if I went over, like I at least hit some balls hard and just got, unlucky.
Huh.
If I'm sorry. I just want
to I was just saying we couldn't hit in Cincinnati. I mean, like, we're going to go to DC and magically hit. Like,
yeah. Who knows? Who knows at this rate? I'm going to hope for a split at this rate too. Maybe, just maybe, this will be the Mets finally turning the corner and winning a series for the first time in almost a month since April 19th in LA. It's been that long and that bad. Yeah. But
because I stopped going to games, that's why.
Yeah, it is your fault, Joe.
By the way, we should get Matt Harvey out of retirement just to DH the next time that they're in Arizona. Didn't he have the debut there where he like cranked a couple doubles in addition to getting like 10 strikeouts?
I know he pitched really well. Did he rake there too? I wasn't on the team.
He kind of raked. Yeah. I mean, Harvey, when he was younger, would hit well. And then as he got older, he stopped hitting.
He could hit a little in BP, but I never saw him like in 13. I don't remember him getting very many hits. I don't know.
I used to love when I was working there. And so I guess I started working there in 2015. I would love watching our pitchers take BP.
Yeah.
Because you'd have Syndergaard cranking him when he got called up.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy, I think he's got like 4 hits or 5 hits to his career and like 4 home runs. Like, it was all or nothing. Matt's was maybe the best pure hitter, him or DeGrom.
DeGrom's the best pure hitter, but Matt's could swing it. He can handle the bat for sure.
Yeah, he was like a doubles guy too. Not, I think he had a home run or 2 in his career. And then, Harvey had like a little pop, didn't really translate to games.
Bartolo was just hilarious to watch.
That was the best.
We just passed over the weekend, the anniversary of him knocking one out. Yeah. It's crazy. It's been 7 years. 7 years.
I know, Wardy, you were like in second grade last time.
You motherfuckers. Yeah, it's crazy how long it's been, though. But before we get out of here, there was words of optimism. This is from Alex Cohen, a great member here on the YouTube channel. No, this is not the Alex TT that you're thinking of, Steve's wife, but this is a different Alex Cohen. And he says the following: Mets have a better record than the Braves did at this point last year. So if there's any positive, it's
you
early.
can think about the Nationals from 2019,
like Braves 2021, even last year.
The Phillies last year.
Phillies, yep.
That's the only positive. Not over, guys.
No, we're
not over.
That's
really bad right now.
We're being negative, but only because, look, that's the play that we've seen. We know, like we all know, and that's what I want Mets fans to understand, that there's so much season left. Like, it could turn around like that, and this team has the talent to do that. I think that's why, despite that there's some negativity, that we're portraying on this team, we're also positive in the sense that, like, it should and could turn around. Like, that should be what happens.
Yeah. So it's a
I mean, look, Max should be healthier than he is right now, and when he is out there, he should be a lot better than he's pitching right now. Like, all we need is these guys. We need just a little equilibrium. Like, right now, everyone's slumping simultaneously. Things get back to normal. We saw last year, it's not a matter of winning the division necessarily. It's just a matter of getting into the playoffs. Yeah. So still a wide open National League. We're not the only team struggling. The Pirates have gone downhill. The Cubs have like completely collapsed. So it's an early season. A lot can still happen, and we're not the only team that struggles.
Yep.
This is me like giving myself a therapy session.
Yeah,
like,
this is a Mets therapy.
We all need
session. I feel like everyone's been doing them lately, and one can hope that this is a start of turning things in the right direction. I mean, it would be very Mets to somehow have a great June with the type of schedule that they have, but maybe we'll soon find out. But changes need to be made and fast, and we'll see what this Mets team has in store over the next couple days. But guys, thank you all so much for watching. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, WardyNYM, thank you so much. Make sure to drop a like and a subscription. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. For people on replay, what was your biggest takeaway from today's Queen Quarter podcast? For people watching on the 7 Line socials on Twitter or Facebook, make sure to drop them a follow if you haven't already. Hit that like button. Really does mean a lot. As stay tuned, we'll be having podcasts out after every single series this season per usual. That is Anthony Recker coming in live from his car, which you love
Even
to
from
see.
the car, baby.
Even from the car, we're making it happen.
Car, baby.
And that
He's
is
doing 85 in the left lane and joining us to do a show. It's incredible.
Parking structure
He's on the BQE right now, guys. Like you could ever do 85 on the BQE, by the way. It's a parking lot, that place.
Yeah,
Hey, Wardy, should we do the shameless plug before we sign off?
Yeah, do the shameless plug. Go ahead.
All right, if there are any hot Met fans, preferably females, watching the show right now, or if you're a Met fan who knows an attractive female in your life who wants to go to Hawaii on Tuesday, hit me up. Got an extra plane ticket, got a hotel room, resort paid for in full, trip for 2 to Hawaii. It's like The Price is Right, except you don't have to do anything but DM me at Joe Serralo on Instagram. Shameless plug. Wardy, I told you I would do it. Let's do it. Make it happen.
I can't believe that just happened. I cannot believe that just happened. That's amazing. That's amazing.
No shame. No shame.
Yeah, guys, slide in those DMs.
Take me.
Okay?
He didn't think I was hot enough, so.
Yeah,
I mean,
Joe said I could go, but I had to do something that I wasn't necessarily willing to do. So that's why he's reaching out to the Mets fans now.
Marty, I'm just trying to leave a good taste in your mouth, my man.
Yep.
All right, guys, we're out of here. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend, everybody. As always, let's go Mets. Peace out.